Hello, it's 3 o'clock on a Tuesday afternoon. I'm Trowbridge Library. Welcome to my Facebook page. I'm going to do some tea and chat with you. I've got my mug ready. Actually, I haven't poured out my cup of tea yet, so I might even just start by doing that. And then we're going to do some poems about travel. I put literally, and metaphorically. Let's pour my tea out. Okay, it's a beautiful sunny day outside, so I thought, well, where can we go? We could go and sit in the garden and read some poems and travel around the world, anywhere. So, and I'm going to do a selection of poems, which I'm sure some of you will enjoy and will know and can possibly even join in with. And I'm going to start with one of those favourite magical ones. It's magical because it's not somewhere that's it's kind of imagined. It was a real place, Xanadu, where the seat of Kublai Khan in Mongol China, but it's actually the fevered imaginations of Samuel Taylor Coleridge. Famously, when he woke up having a dream and wrote this poem down to try and capture what he'd had in the dream, and then a person from Porlock knocked on his door, interrupted his train of thought, and he couldn't remember all of the poems. It's only a fragment, it's not the whole thing. But it takes you to a place that's so unlike my back garden, I'm sure. I hope you enjoy this one to start off with. Kubla Khan by Samuel Taylor Coleridge. In Xanadu did Kubla Khan a stately pleasure dome decree, where Alph, the sacred river, ran through caverns measureless to man, down to a sunless sea. So twice 5 miles of fertile ground with walls and towers were girdled round. And here were gardens bright with sinuous rills, where blossomed many an incense-bearing tree. And here were forests as ancient as the hills, enfolding in sunny spots of greenery. But oh, that deep romantic chasm which slanted down the green hill athwart a cedarn cover, a savage place, as holy and enchanted as ere beneath a waning moon was haunted by woman wailing for her demon lover. And from this chasm with ceaseless turmoil seething, as if this earth in fast thick pants were breathing, a mighty fountain momently was forced, amid whose swift half-intermitted burst huge fragments vaulted like rebounding hail, or chaffy grain beneath the thresher's flail. And mid these dancing rocks at once and ever it flung up momently the sacred river, 5 miles meandering with a mazy motion. Through wood and dale the sacred river ran, then reached the caverns measureless to man, and sank in tumult to a lifeless ocean. And mid this tumult Kubla heard from far ancestral voices prophesying war. The shadow of the dome of pleasure floated midway on the waves, where was heard the mingled measure from the fountain and the caves. It was a miracle of rare device, a sunny pleasure dome with caves of ice. A damsel with a dulcimer, in a vision I once saw. It was an Abyssinian maid, and on her dulcimer she played, singing of Mount Abora. I could revive within me her symphony and song, to such deep delight would win me, that with music loud and long I would build that dome in air, that sunny dome, those caverns of ice, and all who heard should see them there, and all should cry, beware, beware! His flashing eyes, his floating hair, weave a circle round him thrice, and close your eyes with holy dread, for he on honeydew hath fed, and drunk the milk of paradise. There's Kubla Khan for you. Samuel Taylor Coleridge. I hope you like that one. I do like that. There's bits in there that come again in other poems as well. The flashing eyes, the floating hair, for example, in Jabberwocky. Right, well, that one comes from my Oxford Library of English Poetry. It's been my go-to for these poetry sessions over the last few months. It's got lots of fantastic poems in there, but I have also found a new book when I was digging around the other day. The nation's favourite poems, forwarded by Griffith Jones. It's one from at the library, in fact. Okay. Lots of great ones in here, so it's good to browse through. If you ever need a book with some good poems, and I would recommend something like this, a collection, and you'll find you know more than you think, I think, if you're anything like me. Before I do that, I'm going to have a cup of tea in the mug. You see that? Cheers. Oh, that's nice. Right, I'm going to do W.B. Yeats's poem, Travelling Over to Ireland. W.B. Yeats, The Lake Isle of Innisfree. I will arise and go now and go to Innisfree, and a small cabin build there of clay and wattles made. 9 bean rows will I have there, a hive for the honey bee, and live alone in the bee loud glade. And I shall have some peace there, for peace comes dropping slow, dropping from the vales of the morning to where the cricket sings. There midnight's all a glimmer, and noon a purple glow, and evening full of the linnet's wings. I will arise and go now, for always night and day I hear lake water lapping with low sounds by the shore. While I stand on the roadway or on the pavements grey, I hear it in the deep heart's core. The Lake Isle of Innisfree by W.B. Yeats, from the nation's favourite poems. I hope you like that one. It's one of my favourites. I've actually got a copy of it sung by the Waterboys, which is really, really good to listen to if you ever come across the Waterboys. Quite a sort of folk rock band, still going, and that was one of their more recent albums. They did a whole collection of poetry by Yeats. The Lake Isle of Innisfree, though, is a popular one, and in this collection, it's actually number 7 in the nation's favourite poems. Is it your 7th favourite poem? Perhaps it is. Okay, right. I hope you can hear my clock ticking in the background. It's very loud. I sometimes turn it off before the sessions, but I haven't today. Can you hear that? Tick tock, tick tock. Okay, kind of goes with this next poem. This next poem's a little bit more eerie. Okay, it's called The Listeners, and it's from by Walter de la Mare. A little bit more of a spooky one, I think. Okay, so which is one of kind of we'll get a little bit of an atmosphere that's maybe not quite right for a sunny day, but travels and takes you somewhere else anyway. It's Walter de la Mare's The Listeners. Is anybody there? Said the traveller, knocking on the moonlit door. And on his horse in the silence champed the grasses of the forest's ferny floor. And a bird flew up out of the turret above the traveller's head. And he smote upon the door again a second time. Is anybody there? He said. But no one descended to the traveller. No head from the leaf-fringed sill leaned over and looked into his grey eyes, where he stood perplexed and still. But only a host of phantom listeners that dwelt in the lone house then stood listening in the quiet of the moonlight to that voice from the world of men. Stood thronging the faint moonbeams on the dark stair that goes down to the empty hall, hearkening in an air stirred and shaken by the lonely traveller's call. And he felt in his heart their strangeness, their stillness answering his cry, while his horse moved, cropping the dark turf neath the starred and leafy sky. For suddenly he smote on the door even louder and lifted his head. Tell them I came and no one answered, that I kept my word, he said. Never the least stir made the listeners, though every word he spake fell echoing through the shadowiness of the still house, from the one man left awake. Aye, they heard his foot upon the stirrup, and the sound of the iron on stone, and how the silence surged softly backward, when the plunging hoofs were gone. Bit of a spooky one, that one. A bit eerie. It always gives me a little bit of a quiver. Especially that bit when he says, "Tell them I came and no one answered, that I kept my word," he said. So why is he going back to the haunted house where only spirits live? What's going on? I think it's quite a sort of atmospheric, eerie one that takes you back metaphorically somewhere else, maybe not literary travelling, but metaphorically travelling, definitely to a different place. Walter de la Mare's The Listeners. Okay, gosh, it's quite a good one to do. I'm reading in my loud voice and my eerie voice, so I'm going to have another cup of tea, another drink of tea in my mug. Okay. What I've also got today, I've got some biscuits. They're just off site on your camera, so they're yummy biscuits today. These are chocolate biscuits made with a chocolate orange. So they've got orange chocolate flavored biscuits in them. Very nice. Right. Going to do a different sort of travel now. We're going to go up high into the sky. We're going to do high flight, an airman's ecstasy. This is written by J.G. McGee, or John Gillespie McGee, who was a Canadian pilot in World War II, unfortunately killed in an air accident over Britain in 1941. This poem is often read out aloud at memorials or funerals for other pilots and other disasters. In particular, Ronald Reagan read it after the Challenger disaster. It's very beautiful, I think, and it kind of captures what it might be like to fly in a single seat aeroplane in World War II or any time. I'm sure, never having done it, I don't actually know what it's like. The closest I've come is cycling down a hill on my bicycle, which is a little bit different. But I think I've slipped the surly bonds of earth somehow. Okay, it goes like this. High Flight, an Airman's Ecstasy by J.G. McGee. Oh, I have slipped the surly bonds of earth and danced the skies on laughter-silvered wings. Sunward I've climbed and joined the tumbling mirth of sun-split clouds, and done 100 things you've not dreamed of. Wheeled and soared and swung high in the sunlit silence, hovering there. I've chased the shouting wind along and flung my eager craft through footless hills of air, up the long, delirious, burning blue. I've topped the windswept heights with easy grace, where never lark nor even eagle flew. And while with silent lifting mind I've trod the high untrespassed sanctity of space, put out my hand and touched the face of God. High Flight by J.G. McGee. That last line in particular is the one that struck him after a flight. He composed it while in the air, mostly the poem, and then wrote it down when he landed. But he thought about, put out my hand and touch the face of God. Flying up there on your own, away from everyone else. It's a lovely thought, isn't it? And a lovely image. I like that a lot. The High Flight by J.G. McGee. Okay, I think I've got time for two more poems. Okay, I'm going to do two more sort of travelling. These are kind of a little bit more romantic, probably romanticised as well, actually. I'm going to start with Robert Louis Stevenson. And he's going to do a poem, which I think you might know the beginning of. It's called The Vagabond. Give to me the life I love, let the lave go by me, is how it starts. Okay, The Vagabond by Robert Louis Stevenson. Give to me the life I love, let the lave go by me. Give the jolly heaven above, and the byway nigh me. Bed in the bush with stars to see, bread I dip in the river. There's the life for a man like me, there's the life forever. Let the blow fall soon or late, let what will be o'er me. Give the face of earth around and the road before me. Wealth I seek not, hope nor love, nor a friend to know me. All I seek the heaven above and the road below me. Or let autumn fall on me where afield I linger, silencing the bird on tree, biting the blue finger. White as meal the frosty field, warm the fireside haven. Not to autumn will I yield, nor to winter even. Let the blow fall soon or late, let what will be o'er me. Give the face of earth around and the road before me. Wealth I ask not, hope nor love, nor a friend to know me. All I ask, the heaven above and the road below me. Walking along. The Vagabond by Robert Louis Stevenson. Quite a romantic view of the vagrant life, but quite moving. I think I quite like it anyway. It's certainly on a warm sunny day like today. It feels quite nice to be out wandering around on your bicycle, in your car, wherever, on your motorbike, just going about exploring places, even exploring like Bookstop Bear all over Trowbridge, as she is at the minute with Katie. Okay, that's again from the Oxford English Poetry book collection, the Robert Louis Stevenson's The Vagabond. Okay, I'm going to finish with one of my favourites, a lovely proper poem that sounds like a poem, rhymes really nicely, moves along fantastically, and it's by John Masefield, the wonderful poet laureate, and it's called Sea Fever. I must go down to the sea to gauge the lonely sea and the sky, and all I ask is a tall ship and a star to steer her by, and the wheels kick and the wind's song and the white tails shaking, and a green mist on the sea's face and a grey dawn breaking. I must go down to the seas again, for the call of the running tide is a wild call and a clear call that may not be denied. And all I ask is a windy day with the white clouds flying and the flung spray and the blown spume and the seagulls crying. Har, har, har. I must go down to the seas again, to the vagrant gypsy life, to the gull's way and the whale's way, where the wind's like a whetted knife. And all I ask is a merry yarn from a laughing fellow rover, and a quiet sleep, and a sweet dream when the long trick's over. And all I ask is a merry yarn from a laughing fellow rover, and a quiet sleep, and a sweet dream when the long trick's over. Okay, I hope you enjoyed those collections of poems, loosely based on the theme of travel, literal and metaphorical. Okay, we're keeping going with our Tuesday afternoon tea sessions. Okay, next week, look out for Steph, I think it is next week. All right, and enjoy the rest of your week. I hope the sunshine stays, and take care to you all. Okay, goodbye for now. Bye. I'm going to finish my tea.